Here comes Cincinnati's 5 biggest mega projects explained. Right now, more than $8 billion is being poured into the ground across Greater Cincinnati, and almost nobody is talking about what it's about to do to home values. Cranes are climbing, a brand new bridge is rising up out of the river, whole city blocks are being rebuilt from scratch, and here's the part that most people miss completely. Every single one of these projects is quietly moving home prices right now before any of it is even finished. Some neighborhoods are about to get a lot more valuable, and a few are going to be harder to live in for a while. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where all that money is going, what it means for your home's values, and the areas we'll be watching if we were buying today. I'm Peter Chabris with the Chabris Group right here in Cincinnati. And last year, our team sold over 613 sales all across this region. So when a giant project breaks ground, we're not guessing about what comes next. We've watched it play out street by street with real buyers and real sellers across town. So today, I'm going to walk you through the biggest mega projects in the area and tie each one back to what you actually care about, your home and your future here. So stick around for the end, because this last project on the list is the one that almost nobody is talking about. And frankly, it may just be the smartest place to buy before the rest of the market catches on to what's happening. Number 1, the Brent Spence Bridge project. Cincinnati's $4 billion game changer. So let's start with the big one, the Brent Spence Bridge. If you've ever driven I-75 across the river, you've sat on it. It opened in 1963, built for 1/2 of the traffic that it actually carries today. And for years, it's ranked as one of the worst truck bottlenecks in the country, but that is finally changing. In May of 2026, the governors of both Ohio and Kentucky broke ground on a brand new companion bridge right beside the old one. State officials put the construction price at about $4 billion, split between both states and some federal subsidies as well. The plan is easy to picture. The new bridge carries the interstate traffic, the old bridge gets renovated and handles local trips. And they're adding new ramps and walking and biking paths to reconnect the neighborhoods, right, that this highway kind of cut off decades ago. So what does that mean for you? Well, when that bottleneck finally clears, the drive between Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky gets faster and, frankly, a whole lot calmer. Easier commutes make the homes on both sides of the river more appealing. The new bridge is expected to open around 2031, with the rest of the work wrapping up a couple of years thereafter. So yeah, there's going to be construction and detours in the meantime. That's the short-term cost. But the long-term payoff is this: a region that finally moves the way it was always supposed to. And once you see how big that bridge really is, you start noticing the same energy downtown. Now let's talk about downtown Cincinnati's $800 million convention district. So just a few minutes from the river, downtown is getting an $800 million makeover, and all of its centers on one block. The Duke Energy Convention Center reopened in January 2026 after a massive $264 million renovation. Right across the street, a brand new 700-room Marriott headquarters hotel is set to break ground, with plans to open in 2028. Now, why should a homeowner care about a convention center? Well, frankly, it's because of what it pulls in. Bigger events mean more visitors. More visitors mean more restaurants, more bars, more jobs, and frankly, more reasons for people to want to live close to the action. When downtown gets busier in the right way, the neighborhoods around it, places like Over the Rhine and the West End, well, they tend to feel that lift too. For a buyer, this is what we like to call vibe insurance. You're not just buying into what downtown is today, you're buying into what it's literally being paid to become. And that same bet on the urban core shows up one more time, right down at the water's edge. The Banks, finishing Cincinnati's riverfront. So Banks is that stretch of like bars and food and parks, restaurants, apartments, all down by the river, tucked in between the two stadiums and just outside of Great American Ballpark. It's been growing for years, and now there's finally a plan to finish it. The latest update lays out a vision worth roughly $750 to $800 million to build out the last of the riverfront parcels over the next 15 years. Picture hundreds of new homes, more shops, a new hotel, all designed to turn the riverfront into a true neighborhood that's alive 7 days a week, instead of just game day destination. So if you've ever dreamed of walking out of your front door, to dinner and a ball game and the river all in one night, this is an area to watch. watch. As more homes go up right along the river, living downtown stops being a novelty and starts becoming a real everyday option. So let's pause for a second. So far, we've covered the new bridge, the downtown convention district, and the riverfront buildout. 3 huge bets on this region. But the biggest surprise on this list is still coming, and it isn't downtown at all. But before we get there, if you're even thinking about making a move to Greater Cincinnati, our team has put together a free relocation guide that breaks down the neighborhoods, top schools, major employers, and the kind of local insight that actually helps you plan your move. The link is in the description and the QR code is on your screen right now, so grab it, but then stick with me because this next project is the engine behind much of the Cincinnati regional growth. Number 4, the Amazon AirHub and CVG, the region's quiet job engine. So just across the river sits the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport, better known as CVG. By the way, if you're wondering why it's CVG, CVG stands for Covington because the airport is in Covington, Kentucky. CVG has pulled off something that most cities only dream about. Amazon built its main air cargo hub for the entire country right here in Cincinnati, a project worth about $1.5 billion, which has created thousands of jobs. And on top of that, the airport itself is in the middle of a $575 million terminal upgrade, and a new airline just opened an operational base there early in 2026. So why does the airport matter? One word: jobs. Big, steady, well-paying jobs. When thousands of people get hired in one corner of a region, every one of them needs somewhere to live. Of course, a lot of those work will settle along the booming I-75 corridor in northern Kentucky, in fast-growing communities like Florence, Independence, Kentucky, and Union, Kentucky, where you can get fantastic neighborhoods, top schools, and a highly accessible drive to work. And here's where it gets interesting. According to Redfin, the median sales price in Cincinnati was about $276,000 in early 2026, up roughly 11% from the year before. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, the national median sales price sat near $400,000 over that same stretch of time. So we're still an absolute bargain, and steady job growth is a big reason the demand keeps climbing. Jobs bring people, and people need places to gather, which leads us straight into a project that's turning a value neighborhood into a premier destination. Number 5, FC Cincinnati's West End District, from value pick to destination. So right next to the TQL Stadium in the West End, FC Cincinnati is driving forward a $332 million mixed-use district. We're talking about a pair of 13-story towers, a hotel, apartments, shops, and a brand new music and event venue. And as they push through the upcoming phases of development, the entire character of that neighborhood is completely pivoting. You know, for a long time, the West End was kind of like one of those areas what buyers called a value pick, right? It was close to downtown, it had lower prices, it had lots of rich history. But this project, a project of this magnitude, rewrites that story. It turns like close to downtown and affordable into, you know, close to downtown and exciting. And here's the key insight we share with all of our buyers all of the time. The best time to buy is before the cranes leave. Once a project like this is finished, you're buying at a completely different price point. The real upside almost always shows up early for the people who saw the vision coming. Now, you might assume every mega project lives in the urban core, and that's exactly the assumption I want to break right now. Number 6, Mason and the suburbs, the mega projects nobody expects. So here's the surprise I promised. The suburbs are landing massive mega projects too. Up in Mason, the Lindner Family Tennis Center just wrapped up a staggering $260 million campus transformation, doubling its acreage to support the newly expanded multi-week Cincinnati Open. This is always a big event, as it's just followed thereafter by the US Open immediately afterwards, and that's the final Grand Slam of the year. And out on the east side, a major $60 million development is driving a brand new 20,000 person capacity outdoor concert venue that's set to reshape the region's live entertainment scene. Think about what that means. Mason already has the profile that families want, right? With newer construction, top-rated schools, and quiet streets. Now, it's anchoring a world-class, year-round sporting destination, along with all the crowds and retail and spending that come along with it. This is exactly why we tell families not to sleep in the suburbs. A mega project in Mason or out east does the same thing a downtown project does. It brings money, attention, and sustained real estate demand. It's just wrapped in a backyard and a 2-car garage. This is also where the numbers get fun. Zillow's Home Value Index actually puts the typical Cincinnati home a bit lower than Redfin's sales figure, close closer to $239,000. The two don't match because they measure slightly different things. One is tracking actual sales as they close. The other tracks a broader estimate of what a typical home is worth across the entire market. But either way, the story is identical. And that is that compared to most of the country, this whole region is incredibly affordable. And these massive investments are pouring fuel on that baseline value. So let's zoom all the way back out. We've got more than $4 billion for the bridge. $800 million are going downtown. Another $800 million on the riverfront. $1.5 billion at the airport, and hundreds of millions of dollars more in the West End and out in the suburbs. That isn't just one isolated bet on Cincinnati. It's an entire region betting on itself all at the same time. Now here's the #1 mistake we see buyers and sellers make with news like this. They wait for a project to finish before they act. They want to see how it all turns out. But by the time these cranes are gone and the ribbon has been cut, the market has already adjusted and the prices have already moved. The smart move is the exact opposite. You get in while it's still being built, while the upside is still sitting on the table. So here's one easy thing that you can do this week. Pick an area that you don't have a strong opinion about yet. Maybe the West End, maybe it's Mason, maybe the riverfront. Go spend a Saturday there, walk it, eat there, get a cup of coffee, picture your life in it, and you'll learn more in one afternoon on the ground than in a month of scrolling online listings. Because the right move here isn't just about finding a house. It's about planting roots in a place that is clearly going somewhere. If you want a real read on how these projects could touch your specific street or your home's value, that's exactly what our team does every single day. Reach out to us at the Chabris Group. We'll give you the straight, local picture with zero pressure. And if you want to take this one step further, watch this next video, Cincinnati in 2026, 5 neighborhoods to buy before the Brent Spence Bridge changes everything. It picks up right where we left off and shows you exactly where we would start in your shoes. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.